His actions were nothing short of heroic. Many more people would have died last night if not for a responsible armed citizen.
Police praising the heroic actions of a good guy with a gun who neutralized a deranged shooter at a mall in Indiana. It took Elijah Dickens just 15 seconds to take down the suspect, who just shot and killed 3 people and injured 2 others. The 22-year-old going toward and confronting the shooter who was trying to hide while ushering people to safety. But liberals say his actions were way out of line, arguing this hero should not even be called a good Samaritan. Oh, and then there's the ladies of The View.
But with this Good Samaritan thing, listen, I was trained when I was at the Justice Department in firearms, and I was trained in defensive firearm training. It is very hard to hit a moving target. It is hard for people that are trained to hit a moving target. It is very lucky that Good Samaritan hit that moving target in that way. And he had a gun permit, but he wasn't supposed to be in the mall with a gun. So he broke the law, even though he was a Good Samaritan.
You're saying no, judges.
He didn't break the law. He didn't break the law. They say in the mall they don't want you to have a gun. What law did he break? He didn't break any law. What he did was he came to the defense of another person. I'm surprised at you, Sonny. You worked for the Department of Justice. Okay? Here we go. Ideology is trumping the murder of innocent victims. They are so left that they say they want to believe that it's a horrible thing. And God forbid we call this person a good Samaritan who stops a mass shooter because he's a law-abiding guy with a permit for a gun, and she's upset that he stopped the killer. What is wrong with this picture? That's all I have to say. There's nothing else to say. The View.
Do you want a layup, Jessica? I'll ask you. Here's the layup opportunity. Is this guy a good Samaritan?
Sure. He killed the mass shooter, who still managed to also kill 3 people before this happened, which is a pretty big deal. And we shouldn't lose focus on that. It does seem that he bought his guns legally. He bought them back in March. He didn't have an adult record, but he did have a juvenile record. I don't know what role that could play going forward in terms of holding people back from getting the judge is nodding along with me, so that's a good sign. But I think what is important to not lose sight of, and this happens as new news stories roll in, then people push out the old ones. And this happens on both sides. And now it's a good guy with a gun can help this. 2 days ago, it was 400 trained cops let 20 kids die in classrooms while they were waiting around, twiddling their thumbs and using hand sanitizer.
Yeah, I wish this guy was in Uvalde.
Oh, he would have done it.
If he wants to sign up and do a better job than those police officers, I would welcome him to do that. But it still is a sorry reflection on the state of America that it is an average day, that 3 people are murdered by someone. Yeah. We are lucky that someone took him out, but that doesn't mean that we don't have a tremendous gun problem in this country.
Yeah, we are lucky. And I think they pulled this, Dana, and people trust a regular citizen with a gun, sometimes even more than police officers, because police officers, they're few and far between. Yeah. If there's a civilian right there during the shooting, they're going to be able to neutralize that shooter like that.
And who were the first people to call him a hero were the cops.
Yep.
Because it took 11 minutes after the 911 call for the police to get there.
Exactly.
And the local news agency there, WTHR, I want to give them credit, they approached several gun instructors. And they said, how difficult would it be for this to replicate this? And Dickens put out 8 out of 10 shots on target in 15 seconds at almost double the maximum pistol range distance. Nobody else could do that. They said they don't even come close. So I think, one, hero. Also, would you please join the Navy SEALs?
It's a good shot, that's for sure. Greg Gutfeld.
Well, Jessica brought up the news cycle, and she's right about how people, one side goes with their story, and another side brings up their story. But the problem is that other story, the Texas story and all the other mass shootings, get massively amplified. This story must be amplified because it's clear that was a copycat shooter, right? These are all happening in clumps because the amplification of the previous shootings. So it stands to reason if you were to amplify this story, that would give copycats, a second thought, right? It's like if the uncertainty that there might be an armed person around there in the place that you want to go light up, it might take you out. That might help. So more of these stories I would love to hear, and I'd love to hear them, in the media, but I doubt that this is showing up on CNN or MSNBC. Gun control zealots will say, permit to carry doesn't reduce incidents of mass shootings. Well, this one didn't reduce the incident, it reduced the severity. What does that sound like? Vaccines, right? Think of this like a vaccine. The permit to carry didn't prevent the contagion, right? But it diminished the harm dramatically. So you're gonna say you don't want it now. This is, and it goes back to the Sunny Hostin. She made in her best case, I can't believe she would have preferred to have more victims. Yeah. But that's what she's basically saying. I mean, you just have to. And what is the alternative in that reality in a mass shooter? To say, I'm glad that guy wasn't there to stop it. Lastly, this is very hard to compare to something like the tragedy in Texas, because the reason why this private citizen, legally armed, was able to shoot so quickly, didn't have to wait for approval. There was no red tape. There was no violation of protocol. That's the thing that they got to look at. Why were 400 people there and no one were able to do it, but this kid could do it? Because he wasn't them.
And you know what's interesting, and one more point, is the fact that when she says, Sunny Hostin says, well, you know, you have to be really good to do that. He could have killed a lot of people. That's always the argument on the other side. He could have killed a lot, but he didn't. Let's deal with the facts. He didn't.
He didn't. He's a great shot. And that was a great analogy about the vaccines.
That was
I am
very,
really
very
proud
good.
of you.
Did not prevent the contagion.
All right, coming up.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.